a record, 3, 13, 14, the interlude. So it's like a prelude to the album, you know.
Let me pronounce it properly. Is it 3, 1, 3, 14? 3, 13, 14. Oh, 3, 13, 14.
The Upside. Live and real. It's dynamic. Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It is midday and this is Africa Update coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. I'm Lulu Gaboo. A lot coming up on this Sunday, but first,
SBC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Lulu, and greetings to our listeners. Cyclone Gezani has hit Mozambique's Inhambane province, resulting in at least 4 fatalities and affecting thousands who now lack electricity and clean water. This follows the storm's impact on Madagascar, where 41 people died and many displaced. UNICEF's Guy Taylor in Mozambique explains.
I think thankfully the impact of this cyclone has been less than some of the tropical cyclones that we've seen in previous years. For example, Freddy, Chido, Jude, particularly Idai, but nevertheless still an important impact and hitting a country which is very vulnerable already. Many children already living without access to clean water, without access to healthcare, and also having recently been affected by historic flooding in the south part of the country, which affected around 700,000 people. So cyclones really the last thing that Mozambique needs at the moment. We're hoping that
Africa's regional and faith-based institutions are teaming up to tackle the continent's biggest challenges. The African Union and the Symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar have renewed their partnership to promote human rights, good governance and sustainable development. This collaboration aims to make difference in addressing conflict, humanitarian crisis and climate change across Africa. CKEM Liaison Officer Reverend Father Louison Emerick Bisila Mbila explains.
In regions that are currently experiencing conflicts, there are already existing mechanisms of the African Union, such as the Panel of the Wise or Panel of the Elders. So SECAM will be encouraged to join such panels, and especially when it comes to visiting areas affected by conflict. This MOU means practically that it will not just be done at the informal level, but formally, the bishop and the experts will be able to join what the African Union is doing, and the African Union can also rely on us in terms of early warning systems.
4 international aid agencies have joined forces to strengthen the protection of children in Somalia. Save the Children, World Vision, Plan International and SOS Children's Villages have launched a Joining Force Somalia chapter in Mogadishu, aiming to combat violence against children and to improve child protection systems amid conflict, climate shocks and limited access to essential services. Head of Protection, Gender Inclusion for Save the Children in Somalia, Zara Dahir, explains.
We know that early marriage and child forced early marriage, as well as FGM, is quite prominent within Somalia. So these are challenges really unique to Somalia that we try to combat. When we talk about the violence against children, it comes in various different forms, both within the environment as well as from the community, from the household, from negative social norms and practices that have been embedded within Somali culture for many years. So really trying to combat all of these things. We know that within times of conflict and displacement, children's education is disturbed. They're more prone to health risks. And all of these mean that children are really at risks of exploitation, abuse and neglect.
The Trump The Trump administration deported 9 individuals to Cameroon, despite many possessing U.S. court protections against such deportations and none being from Cameroon. Reported by the New York Times, the deportees were unaware of their destination until they were handcuffed on a Department of Homeland Security flight. The DHS, State Department, and Cameroon's Ministry of External Affairs have not issued comments, and there was no indication of any agreement for Cameroon to accept deportees from other countries. Indonesia is preparing to deploy 1,000 troops to Gaza by early April as part of a multinational peacekeeping force, pending a decision from President Prabowo Subianto. A total of 8,000 soldiers could be ready by June. This initiative follows a UN Security Council resolution under the U.S. Peace Plan for Gaza, which aims to address the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Indonesia's participation is described as non-combatant and humanitarian in nature, conditional on approval from the Palestinian Authority, and does not signify normalization of relations with Israel, as Jakarta does not recognize Israel diplomatically. Now, for any news stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, CAF to conduct the quarterfinal draws for the CAF Champions League as well as the CAF Confederation Cup in Cairo on Tuesday, while Zimbabwe is not getting ahead of themselves after the Australian win at the T20 World Cup. I'll tell you why at 12:30.
This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories shaping nations and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Well, it is 12:06 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. We are on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app and Channel Africa app on the Apple and Google Play stores. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update. On hashtag Africa Update asked today, a passenger boarded an Ethiopian Airlines flight from Johannesburg to Addis Ababa with 2 training hand grenades in his luggage. The items were detected during a routine check at Bole International Airport in Ethiopia. This has led to the suspension of Airports Company South Africa's Group Executive for Enterprise Security and Compliance. This is pending an investigation.
Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
On hashtag Africa Update Ask, we focus on Nigeria, where there has been some loss of life of 29 individuals, and this has happened in the early hours of the morning. Now, we want to know from you, what the Nigerian government can do to ensure the safety of its citizens. Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook, at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +2783 288 6684 #Africa Update Us.
Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za.
It is 12:09 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. We go to Burkina Faso now, where the suspected Islamist militants have launched a series of attacks on army positions in northern Burkina Faso, leaving at least 10 people dead in the past 4 days, as according to security sources. The latest attack occurred on Sunday in the northern town of Nare, where suspected jihadist fighters targeted a military detachment. Channel Africa's Lebogang Mabange has more.
The incident follows another large-scale attack on Saturday in the northern city of Titau, where several hundred fighters reportedly targeted a military base and destroyed part of the installation. Burkina Faso has been battling an insurgency linked to groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State for more than a decade. Violence has intensified in recent years despite the military junta seizing power in 2022 on a promise to restore stability and improve security. Authorities have not released official casualty figures, and the government has increasingly limited communication around militant attacks. Although social media reports claim dozens of soldiers may have been killed, those figures have not been independently verified. The latest incidents highlight the persistent security challenges facing the West African nation and the continued threat posed by extremist groups operating across the Sahel region. For Channel Africa News, I am Lebogang Mabange.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
A gunman on motorcycles killed at least 29 people in coordinated dawn attacks on 3 villages in Niger State, northwestern Nigeria. The attackers shot residents, burned homes, and abducted an unknown number of people, with officials warning the death toll could rise as many villagers fled into nearby bushland. The raids took place near the site of a recent massacre that left more than 100 dead. Now, security sources said around 41 motorcycles were used in the assault. Survivors described widespread trauma, with many displaced and too fearful to farm or trade. And to speak to us further, we are joined on the line by a correspondent in Nigeria, Jonathan James Liam Gon. Jonathan, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu.
Now, Jonathan, what have you been able to independently confirm about the number of people that have been killed or abducted? Are security forces present in the affected villages now?
So from what we've gathered so far, the attacks which took place over about a day interval between them have seen different numbers of people. In one of the villages, we have numbers going as high up as about 41 thereabouts, while in some cases we've heard different numbers. But in total, we've got pockets of numbers because it wasn't in just one village. And the marauding bandits on motorcycles stormed these different villages in the southern part of Niger State, which borders Kwara State, a place that has actually seen a couple of attacks happening over the last couple of weeks. And barely just only about 2 weeks ago, several other people were killed in neighboring Borgu local government, which is in Kwara State, versus this other local government that is in Niger State. But that particular area has seen a rise in people who are associated with an Al-Qaeda group that have taken over villages and gone ransacking places. But the peculiar thing that was reported in this particular occasion is the fact that it continues to remain consistent that other than the abduction of some women, which happened in, I think, the village of Piso. What has been happening is there aren't reported cases of stealing or taking over property, other than just burning them and killing villagers. Lulu?
And what is government's response to the latest attack? Because literally they're happening days apart.
Yes. I mean, from the side, I'll start from the side of the police. In the statement that they put out, they say that more police have been mobilized to this area to stop these attacks from happening. But only just about a couple of days ago, Nigeria's federal government, through the Minister of Information, who happens to be from this particular state, released a statement to say that it had launched what it calls Operation Savannah Shield. And Operation Savannah Shield is a military operation that is targeted at making sure that the military secures these territories that have seen repeated attacks. And some would have expected that also, because one of the villages that was last attacked before this occasion is a local government and a village that is very close to President Tinubu's heart, because he's got a chieftaincy title from that village, a place called Borgu. Many people expect that following that announcement, there would have been reported cases of more military activities, but that hasn't come to be, Lulu.
And what are the survivors? What are they saying with regards to how this attack happened and the people who were taken?
So, from the accounts that we've monitored, especially because the curious thing, Lulu, is the report on this is pretty sketchy in local news media. But the leading reports that we've been able to track has been from the AFP and from persons spoke to. They did say that the pattern was similar to what has been reported in other places, where they would come, slit the throats of people, burn down their houses, and just rain mayhem on them. And so far, it has remained the same pattern. They just instill fear. Now, it is being suspected that, given what had happened in the last cases in nearby villages, this is linked with an attempt to introduce to the people their own doctrine of extremist Islam in those places, and the villages having not agreed to follow through with them.
And now, Jonathan, the key question becomes, where is the intelligence?
$1 million question you ask, Lulu. That is the question that a lot of Nigerians are asking, especially following recent conversations between Nigeria and the United States and its offer to help. Only just some days ago, it was reported that an additional 200 troops had arrived Nigeria to help Nigeria with intelligence gathering, training, and other aspects of military operations. But the curious thing also is, every local government in Nigeria is generally having a lot of members of the nation's security apparatchik. We're talking about the members of the state security department who do covert operations. We're talking about the police. We're talking about the military. We're talking about the civil defense, all of this. And many people question, just like you have asked, is where are they reporting all of the things they're saying? For motorcyclists numbering well over 40 to just ride through is something that should be visible to even people who are sight impaired. So to say that these guys go around doing what they're doing, unleashing mayhem without being apprehended, even days after, leaves all of the people and residents of these areas in very, very fearful circumstances.
Now, what is the plan of action? What has been spoken of with regards to on the ground? Operation Savannah Shield clearly is not yielding much. What are they going to do differently to ensure the safety of the citizens?
Well, I mean, this was just only announced only days ago. And what is expected, as we've seen in other cases where such announcements have come, is you would find out that there'll be deployment of more military. Recently, President Tinubu approved for an increase in the number of soldiers being employed or being recruited in the country. More military recruitment depots training depots have been opened in other parts of the country. And the expectation is to see a ramping up of military people. But many people say that no matter how much military you keep deploying, the solutions to this lies in intelligence gathering and significantly non-kinetic approaches to stemming all of this kind of terrorist activities. That once people know where they are and they start to build and they report it, it is the kind of thing that would stop it, as against when they have fully organized and now carry and deploy.
Jonathan, we have run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. We are going to leave it there for today. As our correspondent in Nigeria, Jonathan James Liam Gon, joining us online. That's the question for today on hashtag Africa Update. Ask gunmen on motorcycles killing at least 29 people in coordinated dawn attacks on 3 villages in Niger State. We want to know from you what the Nigerian government should do to ensure the safety of its citizens. Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update Us.
Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app. Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Sam George, Ghana's technology minister, says he has invited Russia's ambassador in Accra to assist in securing Moscow's cooperation to extradite a man accused of filming sexual encounters with women and sharing the footage online without consent. Now, officials in Ghana say they will pursue accountability under the Cybersecurity Act and could try the suspect in absentia if he does not return. Joining us on the line is our correspondent in Ghana, Eric Mawena Igbeta. Eric, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu. Pleasure to be here.
Now, Eric, what has the government officially confirmed about the suspect and the allegations?
Well, what we've seen as official communication has come from 2 ministries. First is the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, as well as Women. And they issued a statement. And then the communications minister, who over the weekend was speaking to some media outlet as to a confirmation of the development and the fact that it has come to their attention. It's one that they are not letting slide easily because it borders on matters of national security, in that an individual was able to waltz into the country and film private moments with women in the country. And that constitutes a crime according to our Cybersecurity Act. And the fact that it was put on pornographic websites as well to generate income without the consent of these women is what raises the concerns and the basis upon which that invitation has been thrown to the Russian ambassador, and will be meeting the minister a lot later today for a conversation. There's also the hint of a possible extradition, which, according to some lawyers who've been reacting, could prove a bit difficult, but there's a bit of trial in absentia as well to seek to bring to justice this individual who took advantage of these women in recording their very private moments and have subsequently shared them and is selling them as well.
And what response, if any, has come from the Russian embassy in Accra?
Dead silence, I have to be honest. In the very few times we've had the Russian embassy speak, they've spoken when they felt that narrative in Ghanaian media landscape is not true. And so I recall during the previous administration, when the government had accused or was laying blame on the Russian-Ukraine war as a basis upon which there was difficulty within the economy and what have you. The Russian embassy in Ghana had cause to issue a statement clarifying that what we were experiencing in Ghana was not a result of their doing in any way or form. That's about the only time we've had Russia issue a statement, the embassy issue a statement here. In fact, we've had a Russian who was recruiting some persons via a Telegram channel to join in marches using the Russian flag and what have you. There was little to no response at all from the Russian embassy to that development. And so it's not surprising that we haven't had them speak, but we should be getting an idea of what their position is after this meeting with Ghanaian authorities, which has been scheduled for a lot later today.
Is there an extradition treaty between Ghana and Russia?
There is none. And our attention as well has been drawn since the announcement by the minister that the Russian constitution actually prevents the extradition of Russian nationals to other countries to face or answer for any crime whatsoever. What we've seen are exceptions, very rare exceptions, where based on very difficult development, one of such which is not in the present case, resulting in Russian nationals being extradited. And we do not have an extradition treaty with Russia. And also, it's resulted in a bit of a criticism of the minister by some security persons as to perhaps being too quick to have spoken on the aspect of extradition when we do not have such treaties readily available between us and Russia to have this individual brought in. And also, there's new development to suggest that all of these recordings which are coming to light today did not happen this year and could have happened about a year ago and are only coming up for attention now. And so it's not like the individual is present in the jurisdiction where he can answer for the crimes that he's committed.
And is Interpol involved in this case? Have they been brought into this case?
All of these are processes which will be kickstarted from today. Remember, the ministry, both ministries issue these statements from the weekend. If there's anything that we know with respect to Interpol triggering a red alert, it will have to come from liaison with the Minister of Justice and Attorney General to pass through this red notice, because he is the government's litigant in all matters. And that and all of the other processes which will be expected will kickstart today. As to even whether or not that will be triggered is a part of the conversation which is coming up. But there are a lot of criticism as to the country's preparedness in terms of national security being able to pick up intel on individuals who are engaged in acts like these. Because outside of Yaroslav, which is the name of this individual, there are others who have come and gone and have done similar and have taken advantage of Ghanaian women in similar fashion. And this is raising concerns as to the preparedness of the country's security architecture in being able to detect persons in this light and pick them up very early on and not allowing them take advantage of Ghanaians before what is seen as firefighting when the harm is already done takes place.
Now, what support is being offered to the affected women?
For now, what we've seen is a lot of social media banter and a lot of conversations on social media. The gender ministry statement suggested support of some sort. We're yet to see that support come through, because they mentioned that they will be dealing with trauma and what have you, and they will seek to provide some bit of support, because a number of these women have been trying to respond by themselves to these developments and seek to explain away what happened, and that inadvertently will come with a bit more in terms of psychological trauma for them. There is a promise of some support, but we're yet to see it. You know, a lot of during the weekend, a lot of these government agencies do not work. It's only about 10 28. And so if there is some support which will come through, it's the early hours of the start of the week and a Monday morning, we will seek to check what that level of support is, as has been promised by the Gender Ministry.
And Jonathan, how significant is it that, I beg your pardon, Eric, I was speaking to Jonathan earlier. Now, how significant is it that the technology minister personally engaged Russia's ambassador?
Well, because a lot of what was the infringement of the crime rests within his threshold. And so he supervises cybersecurity and they are responsible for apprehending persons who engage in cybercrime, sextortion, and what have you. The agencies directly fall under him. And so that is something that his institution should have picked up, and is a reason why he's the one leading the charge in terms of the communication and seeking to have a conversation with the Russian ambassador. I suspect this will not be done alone, just his ministry. There will be possibly the presence of a deputy attorney general in that meeting, as well as to an explanation as to what the offenses are and why they will want to have that Russian national return to the jurisdiction to answer for his crime. But because the infringement of the laws of the country rests within his purview and his institutions, he's the one leading the charge in the conversations.
Oh, Eric, always a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll get further updates on this case because it is a very interesting one unfolding.
Absolutely, Lulu.
That's our correspondent in Ghana, Eric Mawena Egbeta, joining us on the line. It is 12:30 Central African time, and our news headlines up next.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. New headline: Cyclone Gezani has hit Mozambique's Inhambane province, resulting in at least 4 fatalities and affecting thousands who now lack electricity and clean water. Tunisian police detained opposition figure Alpha Handi as she arrived at the country's main airport. Thus, the latest move against a critic of President Kais Saied. And Indonesia says it is preparing to send 1,000 troops to Gaza by early April for possible deployment in a proposed multinational peacekeeping force. Channel Africa News, I'm Onelin Tsinsi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So the Confederation of African Football will conduct the quarterfinal draws for both the Total Energies CAF Champions League as well as the CAF Confederation Cup at the Egyptian Football Association on Tuesday. The draw will also be live on CAF's official YouTube channel as well as CAF TV. The draw now will determine the quarterfinal pairings and the route to the finals in both competitions, as Africa's leading clubs move into decisive knockout phase in the 2025-2026 season, the group stages having concluded this past weekend. On to summer cricket news now. Zimbabwe's top order batter Brian Bennett has called for calm and says they must keep their feet firmly on the ground following their impressive win over Australia at the ongoing T20 World Cup. Now, the Chevrons shocked their more fancied opponents by 23 runs in their second game of the tournament, having earlier defeated Oman to get their tournament underway. So while the 100% record sees them sit second in Group B, Bennett says they must remain humble in their quest for a Super 8 place, with 2 matches against Ireland as well as the co-host Sri Lanka still to follow.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's obviously a great start to get 2 out of 2 wins this tournament. I think obviously we've got 2 more games left in the pool matches. I think, yeah, definitely just need to go back to the drawing board, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Still got 2 big games to play, and hopefully we can come out on top of those as well.
And as impressive as the victory for Zimbabwe was, it was rather unexpected against the 2021 World Cup champions, who are also ranked second in the world. And Bennett says it was a monumental win, not only for the team, but the country as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge win for us as Zimbabwe, not only as us as the players, but also as a country. I mean, those fans came all the way from Zimbabwe. They've spent a lot of money to get here, and we're just grateful for what they've done for the last 2 games. And also to fans back home, we always hear their messages, hear their support. So to go and do that out today was pretty special for everyone.
On to athletics news now. Ethiopia's Shura Kitata won the Severe Marathon men's race after a photo finish with compatriot Asra Abderrahman, while Finland's Alisa Vanio stunned a strong African field to triumph in the women's race. Now, the 41st edition produced a lung-busting finale with Kitata as well as Abderrahman inseparable after 42 kilometers, and both given the same time of 2 hours and 3 minutes and 59 seconds, the second best in the event's history, with the pair throwing themselves over the finish line. In the men's race, it was defined by millimeters. The women's contest turned on the bold tactics as well as late drama. Kenyan Jacqueline Shalao, the pre-race favourite, dropped all the leading group just before the halfway mark as Ethiopia's Mulat Takal Godi pushed the pace. Now that opened the door for 28-year-old Vaino, who accelerated to a victory in 2 hours, 20 minutes and 39 seconds, breaking her Finnish national record. Meanwhile, Kenyan Beatrice Chesrek finished second after also overtaking the tiring Takal Godu, who held on for third. Meanwhile, Italy's Alicia Palmero was fourth, while Waudu placed fifth in a time of 2 hours, 24 minutes and 19 seconds. And finally, in tennis news, the world number 8 Alex de Minaur battled through a tense semi-final, saving 10 break points en route to securing a spot in the Rotterdam final. The Australian was put under pressure by Ugo Humbert, but in a big moment, de Minaur delivered as he saved every break point he faced. Now that allowed him to take a 6-4, 6-3 victory in a match that lasted a little over 90 minutes. And now de Minaur is looking to go one better among the runner-ups in each of the past 2 tournaments, having finished in that runner-up position in the past 2 years. So in the final, he will face either Felix Auger-Aliassime or Alexander Bublik. But speaking on court after the semi-final, he said he hoped to not have to be saving that many break points in that final match. It is 12:36 p.m. Central African Time. It concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do send us an email first to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call as well. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news with the On The Move team in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Across Africa, communities rise with the promise of clean water and clean sanitation. The African Union's 2026 theme calls us to action.
It's about mobilizing real commitments, securing climate-resilient water and sanitation projects, and ensuring that water becomes a driver of sustainable development and prosperity across the continent.
A landmark moment, not only for Africa, but for the global movement for access to safe water for all.
Assuring sustainable water availability for every home, every village, every nation. This is the Africa we want.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good afternoon. In our top business story this hour, former African Union chairperson Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma says the idea behind a borderless Africa means free movement of people and goods, visa-free travel for Africans, and payments in local currencies to boost intra-continental trade. Zuma was briefing the media on the margins of the 39th African Union Summit, which concluded on Sunday at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
One borderless Africa means we are one Africa. We are one Africa, and also we want to trade amongst ourselves as Africans. And trading means moving goods and people. Now, that's why we want borderless, so that traders can be able to move around Africa as they need to. So we want Africans not to need a visa to go to any African country.
A strike by workers at Kenya's main airport in the capital of Nairobi is causing flight delays. Kenya Airways says air traffic control delays are affecting certain departures and arrivals at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The labor dispute between the Aviation Workers Union and the Civil Aviation Authority is over workers' grievances, including the failure to conduct a collective bargaining agreement. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is one of the continent's major airport transport hubs. South African telecommunications group Telkom has reported an 8.4% increase in third quarter core profit, supported by ongoing cost-cutting measures and a 7.2% rise in mobile service revenue as consumers continued to buy more data bundles. Telkom, majority owned by the government, said adjusted earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, EBITDA, rose to $200,960,000, with the EBITDA margin expanding to 29.1% in the 3 months to the 31st of December compared to the same quarter in 2024. The South African Social Security Agency, SASSA, in the KwaZulu-Natal province has commended its social grant beneficiaries for honesty during the grant review process in the current financial year. This after over 70,000 people have been suspended nationally from SASSA's grant payment system, saving the agency just over $31 million. SASSA has planned to conduct 420,000 reviews, and about 240,000 of those have been completed. In KZN so far, about 81,000 out of 93,000 cases have been reviewed. SASSA KZN Executive Manager Tamo Mzobe says KZN beneficiaries have been pleasant to work with.
Really commend KZN SASSA beneficiaries for really cooperating with our process of the reviews. The reviews are regulated by law in terms of Social Assistance Act, and they are regulated also by National Treasury's condition for us to pay a grant to the right person at the right time, at the right place. So we are keen to indicate that it's important that as you apply for grant, you always sign to say once your income status changes.
Meanwhile, Mzobe has urged younger social grant recipients to apply online as they are more proficient in the usage of modern technology.
We encourage the young ones, those young mothers who receive child support grants, who are able to use their cell phones, let them apply at the comfort of their home. And also, if you so happen that you are in our offices, please, there is a kiosk, we call it kiosk like just in the bank system, where they give you a corner and give you a phone to do whatever you want to do instead of queuing the line. So we have a kiosk, which is a system where you just walk in, you need assistance, there's a person who is always dedicated to assist, then you're in and out in no time instead of following the queue.
And now for our first look at the indicators this afternoon. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,352 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula and 5. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 44. And in Zambia, it's 18 kwacha 12. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 21 this afternoon. Russia, 76 rubles 62. In India, it's 90 rupees 54. China 6 yuan 90, and South Africa $1 is trading at 15 Rand 92 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $5,036 per ounce, platinum at $2,051 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.52 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Channel Africa 1060. 6 decades of stories, voices, and vision. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 12:43 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +2783 288 6684.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Our African leaders gathered over the weekend to discuss peace and security on the continent at the 39th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres renewed calls for stronger African representation at the United Nations Security Council during his address. Meanwhile, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa raised concern on the instability in Sudan. Ramaphosa called on AU member states to help other African countries that are facing political and security crisis, stressing that global decisions affecting the continent should not be made without Africa's participation. For more on this, Professor Mamu Muchi joins us on the line. Prof, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Also, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm
Everything
very well,
okay?
very well, thank you, Professor. Hope you're also good. Now, Prof, Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye has been formally elected as the chairperson of the African Union for this year, taking over the rotating leadership from Angola's João Lourenço. Now, let's zoom into what we can expect from Ndayishimiye's presidency.
I think it's an important question you are asking. The African Union has been facing critical challenges, also here in at this time, 2026. Still, the African Union, financial dependency on foreign donors, and also the institutional structures are many in the African Union. So, as you notice, there are so many conflicts and coups, and often we have people that are supposed to manage it, but they are appointed, but they don't really implement it very well. So, on the overall declaration of the African Union are very good, but implementation, the crisis is very strong. So I think the bureaucratic process and also the commitment of the member states. There are 55 states, and the contribution they should be making to make sure that the financial side is also not foreign dependent. All this have not been done very well. So there is also weak integration between all these regional economic communities, SADC, ECOMESA, IGAD. All these organizations exist, but not many things are having together. There are very good plans for us, Agenda 2063, and by now we should be really implementing this, how to realize the Agenda 23. We don't fail to unite Africa. Without African unity, trust me, Africa will always suffer. So how important is it for this new, leadership changes is fine from one state to another, but that's not what is important. What's important is really thinking the entire bureaucratic structure of the institutional structure to make sure that all the challenges we face in Africa can be addressed properly and systematically and effectively.
Now, implementation, Prof, implementation, you highlight implementation being a major stumbling block when it comes to the AU policies. They have great policies in black and white, but implementation is a challenge. And the issue of, dependence on foreign currencies. Why are we still facing such challenges, especially when it comes to implementation? And there should be accountability at the end of a presidency or presidential term.
Yes, very good question you asked. I think as you know, interesting things are happening now. Look at the Sahel area. Now we have Ibrahim, from Burkina Faso, Traore. And then Mali and Niger, they united themselves, but they did it with a coup d'etat. But even after the coup was done, they managed to say, let's unite Africa. So they created one flag and one almost state together. The three states that were like that were now. But then what happened? The French were very upset by it, because they are part of the Francophone countries. And the ECOWAS, which is a regional area, the major countries like Nigeria, Ghana, all of them, they were not also happy. So what you have is the idea they did, which is to unite and not divide themselves, is a good lesson for all of us to learn from it and to see if it works. If they manage it very well, then we do it. But then they took actions also to say, financial dependency, all these things that I just mentioned to you, bureaucratic, all these messes, they said, let's just now recraft it. They said like that. But then when they make an action like this, the rest of the African Union was not actively involved. All the regional, ECOWAS, as I just mentioned to you, was not involved. They are not connected. And what you see is actions taken by the different structures conflict with whenever any good implementation of something, proposal is made, like the way these Sahel area countries. What we need to learn from them now is not how they came through coup d'etats and so on, but after the coup d'etat, what exactly are they doing? Is it for the people, for the country as a whole, for Africa? Or if they're doing it opposite to Africa, that hurts Africa, then we should address the matter very well. If they are not doing it like that, then we should find a way to make sure these actions they have taken, if they are bringing up positive connections, like the dependency they used to have, military bases by France and other countries, they removed. They also the franc, the financial side is run by, the franc is still there in these countries, but it's not in France. So many strange things are happening, and then we are not doing it very properly, and we are not uniting. We're not taking action based on what has happened, what is being achieved, how the people are benefiting from it, or they're not benefiting from it. And then if this removes conflicts, then we should be going for conflict resolution, not conflict creation. So many things like that is what we should do.
Yeah.
I think that's my suggestion.
Well, Prof, we have run out of time and are going to have to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you very much, too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Prof. That's Professor Mamumuche, political scientist, joining us on the line.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa One. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa One. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
We say happy Monday to Debokhole Kuleni of the Upside team. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Lulu. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. What's coming up?
Here's what's coming up on the Upside this afternoon. We mark 4 years, oh, actually it's not 4, it's 5 years of the Yobas, that's Youth Owned Brand Awards, recognizing top performing youth brands across different categories. There'll be another edition of it in June, the 19th to the 20th of June 2026, and we're going to find out more about this year's edition, what's expected, what's the theme, and how can youth brands get involved. And then we have a rather interesting conversation, because to advance ethical and sustainable public governance, the Auditor General South Africa is partnering up with the Finance Accounting Services Sector Education and Training Authority to launch a prestigious Women Leading in the Public Sector program. In this program, they will be developing a talent pipeline of 500 senior women leaders who are ready to lead with confidence to drive systemic change across all spheres of the public sector. And then with the digital nomad being able to work pretty much wherever you want, how has this affected the property market in Cape Town? That's all coming up on the Upside.
That's the Upside coming up at the top of the hour with Debokhole Kuleni and Mateko Musito. We continue on Africa Update.
Africa's story shines at 60. Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Right, leaders and ministers from more than 120 countries have wrapped up their 3 days of discussions at the Munich Security Conference in Germany. Our discussions focus on the war in Ukraine, conflicts in Sudan and Syria, and growing uncertainty over relations between the United States and Europe amid concerns that shared democratic values may be under strain. Butlale Pili has more.
Leaders gathered at the Bayer-Hof Hotel in Munich as global security challenges took center stage. But beyond the conflicts themselves, a deeper question overshadowed the summit: whether the United States and Europe still share the same values that have defined the transatlantic alliance for decades. Political analyst at Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich, Morris Weiss, says while common interests remain, shared values are increasingly diverging.
We may still have common interests, but I think we decreasingly have common values.
Leaders including U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer attended the summit as allies grappled with how to respond to Russia's war in Ukraine. European governments have long worried that US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin could attempt to broker a deal on Moscow's terms, potentially forcing Kiev to cede territory to end Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. Weiss says Europe's tone towards Washington is shifting.
We still want to keep the transatlantic ties, we want to maintain the relationship, but I think what has really become clear is the tone. It's more assertive from Europe. It's in a way no longer like the previous year was just a problem. You know, it's not a working basis. You know, we have to be serious with each other, and of course, it involves the serious point that Europe has to do more, and that has to be accepted. The question is now how, but I think it's a very clear conviction and belief now that we have to move forward.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky used the platform to push again for a clear path to European Union membership, arguing it would strengthen his hand in any future peace negotiations.
Zelensky demanded was like a date for the EU accession, so he can only go into the peace talks when he has a date for EU membership. There I'm quite pessimistic that he will not get that. I think there will be a clear commitment by the Europeans in a way to help him with his negotiation position, but at the same time probably there will not be a date like he tried to get it.
Beyond Europe, the war in Sudan also featured prominently. U.S. Senior Advisor for Arab and African Affairs, Masad Boulos, told delegates there is no military solution to the conflict.
We all know that there's no military solution. This has to end peacefully through a negotiated process.
As the conference concluded, leaders reaffirmed their commitment to cooperation, but lingering tensions suggest that while strategic interests may align, the question of shared values between the US and Europe remain unsettled. I'm Batlali Pile, SABC News.
And that's how we wrap Africa Update today. Continue with us on all our social media platforms. And thank you for joining us. We will be back again tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet, Channel 628.
It's gone 1 p.m. Central African Time. A big thank you to Lulu Gaboo and team. Join them again tomorrow, same time, same place. It's now time for The Upside with me, Tebohole Kuleni and Matseko Mosito from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African Time. But before we get into our festivities, let's get the latest news.